3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Broadcasting to you live from the center of the Aerospace Testing Universe. Brigadier General Matt Higer here with Chief Master Sergeant D. Ward-Swanigan for our Friday, every duty day Friday, 1300, every 1300 duty day Friday town hall. We encourage and welcome and relish, and actually we get great energy from our interactions with you, even in a virtual land. The way that you can interface with us planned during this conversation is via texting in your questions or your comments or your critiques or your concerns. 707-412-8922. We have a highly skilled and highly proficient member of the front office team manning that text number right now. They'll field it or float it up to us for questions or comments. And then we get to try and handle it live. If we don't know the answer, we're going to tell you we don't know. If we think it's knowable but we don't have it, we'll get it to you and get it back to you. And occasionally, if you ask those questions early, we can even get phone-a-friend helps from folks even while we're still on the air. So that I look forward to, and I really enjoy it. We're going to do a slightly different format today for schedule constraints. Chief and I are going to hit topics and questions first for about the first half hour, and then we're going to break over to get a little inspiration from some Warriors of the Week from our second to none Comptroller squadron. And so you'll hear from those airmen here in a little bit, and then you're going to see me disappear, and a much better looking dude with another great haircut will sit in here, Chief Swistak, our MSG group chief. We'll close out the broadcast for the last approximately half hour. I want to, while the questions are rolling in, hopefully, at 707-412-8922, I want to hit a couple things that have, I'll say, of note that have changed in our environment since I was last on the broadcast, and maybe even in the last week. So for those of you that are on duty or have been at work recently, i.e. today, and maybe yesterday I saw a few of them go up, there are now signs all around the installations, Plant 42 and here at Edwards, that say, it's a sign, it's an 8.5 by 11 sign that in orange it says, mask required. And those individual locations, so think the Express, the BX, the Commissary, Building 3000, the Med Group, all those kinds of places, did not put that sign up because they, at that unit level or mission owner level, did that. They put it up with one exception. I'll talk about that in a second. They put it up because I decided that that was a mitigation that we were going to do or re-implement in our current operating environment to protect mission and really to buffer against the risk to mission due to BA5 and BA4 and BA5 Omicron. I'm happy to discuss that as any or all of you want to talk about it and give you a little bit more of my thoughts and background is. But the bottom line is those pieces of paper at all those doors are as if I was standing there at that door as you were walking in saying, hey, welcome to location XYZ. Masks are now required inside this location. And I've been getting nothing but great support and great responses from the overwhelming majority of our teammates here at Takata 2. There are a couple folks that are surprised by it, and that's fine. We're just implementing, and that's fine. And in the corrections that I have unfortunately had to make, also very good responses there. But it's legit, it's real, it's an order from the installation command, and we're all moving out on it. Now, I said Med Group in there. Remember that if you are on Med Group or in a medical campus, they have been and will continue to require masks on everyone in and around the medical facilities. That is not just a DoD thing. That has been a very widespread and very enduring the last 2.5 years in all medical facilities. And there's a lot of logic behind why we would want to do that. So that's a relatively small change, but it does actually impact every single person on the installation. And if you have a question on applicability or maybe something we haven't thought about, let me know. Chief and I were chatting about this earlier today. This fall, there's two discussion topics that we get most when something like masks show up or other things pop up COVID related. And the first question we get is, they want to. There's a discussion on, who is this directive applicable to, and under what authority is that directive given? So that is basically the question about, is this an order? Well, let me pre-answer that. Yes. This is an order, it's legal, it's lawful, and we are all going to follow the lawful orders of those appointed over us, me included. But I appreciate your help in making sure everybody's aware of that. And as great leaders and professionals that you all are, helping correct the behavior of those. And maybe it's just an ignorance thing for those that aren't complying with that. Now, the other related thing is that sometimes we get engaged on the why, right? And sometimes the why is, well, because the commander-in-chief said so. And sometimes the why is that the SecDef said so. And sometimes the why is that, well, that's the way the science is trending us towards right now. And I'm happy to discuss some nuances there because masks are required. And if you read the details, not all masks are created equal. And that's why you see me wearing an N95, as you have for the last, I've been wearing one for the last few months, actually. Chief has been wearing her very loud and proud, which I forgot today. Again, publicly embarrassed that I forgot mine on this Friday because I called you out 2 weeks ago. Orange KN95 mask. That's the level of protection that you need to have to fully comply with the mask mandate at Edwards and Plant 42. In a pinch, if you needed to, surgical masks are appropriate. But as those of you recall previous broadcasts, the masks that we used early in the pandemic, those are so 2020, right? And they're no longer going to meet the need or meet the requirement. So there's a lot behind that. Happy to discuss it. But the bottom line is it's an order. It's a legal order. And we're going to follow orders, just as I do. And just as Chief does. And so thanks in advance for your help, as you would help anyone to know what the rules of the road are and police the community that we all live and work in. The discussion about other topics, again, happy to have, and I'm happy to learn. I think if you go back to early broadcasts in 2020 and what we were thinking about and what we were concerned about and what the science showed there, we have moved a long way from then to now. And the virus has mutated a lot and a long way from now as well. So my last thought on the mask topic and the why, I'm going to geek out. I'm glad everybody's sitting down. I'm going to geek out. There's a factor called R0 or R0 in epidemiological modeling of just how fast and how far spread a virus or a contagion really is going to move through a population. And basically what that is, it's a ratio of for every infected person in this case, how many other people do we assume they infect? And early in the pandemic, and I'm sourcing this from an article I read yesterday in Forbes, and Forbes sourced and pulled from epidemiologist and researcher in Australia. So what have I not said? Forbes, an Australian researcher, right? I haven't said the three-letter word CDC. I haven't said president. I haven't said political anything. It's Forbes, a relatively non-traditional left-leaning publication that's publishing an article about R0, sourcing actual academic research from someplace outside the United States that is also in line with other academic research in the United States. So that's what I'm sourcing. It's a Forbes article. You can Google it right now. But so the numbers there that they cite and they reference are that the original Omicron, so the Wuhan version, the original version of COVID, the Wuhan version, had an R0 of the low 3s. So for every one person that was infected, it was about 3. Now, unfortunately, that version was also quite deadly relative to the current versions that we're messing with. Mm-hmm. The more that the virus mutated, and there's a somewhat logic behind that, the less deadly it became per capita, but the better it became at transmissivity. And so the most contagious or infectious disease, and I might be using that term wrongly, the most contagious and infectious thing that we know to human beings is measles. And the R0 for measles is 18 flat. And right now, early numbers are showing that the BA.5 variant of COVID, of Omicron of COVID, is between 18.8 and 19.5. So this is championing or charging for the most contagious thing that humans have ever dealt with. The good news is that it's much less disruptive and much less deadly than measles, and it is a lot less impactful, although it ain't nothing, a lot less impactful than what we saw with the Wuhan version of coronavirus early 2020. Delta was about there in between. The earlier versions of Omicron were in the teens, but they weren't as bad. But no joke. Looks like the data is going to show the most contagious thing that humans have ever dealt with. All right. Why are we not locked down? Why are we not in Delta and all those things? I'm not going to run down all those rabbit holes. But the bottom line is there are a lot of mitigations that we have now that we didn't have in 2020. And right now, I have been in the mode, well, not right now, but for the last 6+ months, I've been in the mode of we need to normalize to this. And when it rains, what do? We pull in things that can't get wet. If you have to go from A to B, you have some kind of cover, either a cover on your nugget or an umbrella, right? Well, right now it's raining COVID. And so we put on umbrellas, and we do smart things, and we don't get wet. You drive a little slower when there's a flash flood. You do all these basic risk mitigation things anyway, and this is just one of those steps. But I still need you to execute mission, and the reason that I need you to wear very good masks, not just a mask, is that I care about you. I care about you as a person. I care about your family, as people, as individuals. But I also really care about your contributions to mission here. And so you not getting infected with COVID is a positive impact for everyone. It's a positive impact for you. It's a positive impact for you and everyone that you work with and you socialize with, and especially those that you live with. And it is also, therefore, a positive impact to your contributions to our mission. And we've got to keep mission moving. So at its core, we're wearing high-quality masks at Edwards, and I'm encouraging everyone to wear them anytime you're in a public setting, off base as well, because we collectively have to protect our mission. So this is a risk to mission action and a risk to mission mitigation. And there are other ways that you can mitigate that risk, but it needs to be consistent with full mission production. And I think that's really the bottom line for the big change that happened recently. And when it stops raining COVID, we'll put our umbrellas away. But until then, we know it's going to rain occasionally. And with that in mind, let me show you a quick little chart. PA professionals, can you call up the chart that says COVID-19 local? And there's a couple of faces on the top left side for me. Chief is working, the person that asked the question about the gym, we're working that on the side. Let's see if we can get it in the broadcast. Anybody hear me in the broadcast booth? The chart title is COVID-19 local, and there's faces on the side. Yeah, okay, they're working it. The thing that you're going to see when it pops up that I want to highlight is these are infectious, these are case rates per 100,000 people in the counties of Los Angeles, Kern, and San Bernardino. There is some divergence on them. It's the other chart with the same title, and it's got some caricatures in the top left. There you go. So for those of you that can't quite read it, what you're seeing there is you're looking at from the beginning of the pandemic through the last data reportable. You're seeing original surges due to, and that's a case rate, right? So Kern County had a really hard spike in the early pandemic. The next wave there was the winter holiday season before vaccines wave, and it hit all three counties about equally per capita. Then we had a long, relatively flat period of time, and then we got into the Delta wave over last summer, so summer of 2021, and then that just absolutely monstrous spike, which is probably underreported, was the January, you got to be kidding me, Omicron infectiousness surge. Easily, 1,000 per 100,000 case rates, and probably much more than that, because a lot of people either were asymptomatic or they were testing at home. And then if you look at where we are now, that is the BA4, BA5 impacts in our local area. Yes, they are above 200 per 100,000, which is a concerning number, but the shape of the curve and the duration of the curve are very different. That tells me a couple things. One, we've done a reasonable job as a community through vaccinations, masking, and other precautions of flattening the curve. And number two, the case rate isn't as high, but it is slowly working its way up. I'm hoping that we're going to see a plateau here very soon, and then it'll start to work down. So we have a reprieve in the fall again, just in time for Halloween. Go back to the chart, please. And then hopefully we have a less crazy winter surge again. But my prediction is we will be back in masks, and hopefully not much more. November, December, January. And again, I hope I'm wrong on that. So that's an important piece of data. That informs a lot of the protection measures that I decide to direct or that I'm advised to implement here. But that ain't nothing, right? That's still a case rate way above what we would tolerate if this were just a common cold. So anyway, and then the chart up there on the left, these will all be posted, by the way, talk about what are the risk levels for transmission, and those pairings of a dude with and without a mask talks about very high risk, medium risk, and then low risk. And the person that's infected is the person on the left, or contagious is the person on the left, and the person that doesn't want to get it, trust me, doesn't want to get it, on the right. And the best way to do that is to wear a mask, a good high-quality mask. And that's kind of the data that supports the cartoon to the left. So with that, I've pushed information to you. That was a big change. Also in a big change that affects COVID implementation policies, the Undersecretary of the Air Force has given locally us the ability to have groups together of up to 250 people, as long as we do other appropriate COVID mitigations. And that's not the phrase. There's actually a list of mitigations in Secretary Jones-Ortiz guidance. But we are, I believe, the only department in the DoD that has that level of latitude delegated down to local authorities, and I have pushed it all the way down, right? There's no additional restrictions from the wing or the installation here. Make sure you look at those mitigations. And if you say, well, what are you talking about? What are mitigations? I'm not going to call up the chart, but that's where we go to smarts. And if you can't rattle off, and if you're a leader in the post-pandemic world and you can't rattle off the mitigations that are smarts, you're wrong. And if you have a parallel acronym that does the same thing, great. But it's a very good acronym, and if you step through that with folks, you are going to come up with a great solution that allows you to continue to do mission, even if that mission is, what Chief and I were at earlier today, a retirement ceremony, right? And so we had a retirement ceremony for a colonel that lives on the street with us at the Air Force Museum, at the Air Force Flight Test Museum. And everybody was in a mask, and we still had the ceremony because that's an important part of our mission. And so those are the kind of ways that we're moving on, and that's a big breakthrough with the 250 number and mitigations required. So I'm very happy with that direction. I'd like a little more, but I'll certainly take all that. All right, we had a question about the basketball gym at May Road and when might it be open. To be really candid, I'm just going to call May Road and say, hey, when's your gym going to be open? And then we'll let them communicate that. Chief Swiss is shaking his head, and they're one of the interfaces with that as well. So if one of the two chiefs can work that, we'll get an answer back later. To the person asking the question, I know that team would love to answer your question direct. If you have asked them and they are not answering, then that's something that I'll definitely pay attention to and go. But I'm confident that Brittany and Shelley and their great team will have fully transparent answers for you as well. And while we're talking about May Road, let me throw some kudos in the entire privatized housing system that we live in. Now, I have for literally years been asking for a cap on the amount that they charge or are allowed to charge based on what the house could otherwise generate, independent of the rank and the BAH of the person that lives there. We finally got enough policy updates through that they are now, if somebody's displaced below grade, they're now capping at what the house would otherwise generate and not what your BAH is. For example, if Chief Swiss decided he wants to live small and prepare for retirement and get rid of a lot of things, and you want to move into junior NCO housing, you can move there, and the max they'll charge you is what they could get out of the house, not your whole BAH. Now, then the neighbors might go, why is he bringing down the neighborhood, right? But that is now, I think, a very logical step in the right direction. It directly impacts TPS students, and it directly impacts folks that get promoted while they're in housing, and I think those are two huge bonuses. May Road was very enthusiastic, and their implementation went without any push from the Air Force, and we got that over the finish line. That is a huge win.
That's huge.
And I think an omen of things to come as we partner with May Road moving forward. All right, Chief, I'll let you, if you don't know the answer there, I'll try and guess what that next question is. Go ahead.
You want me to read it?
Sure.
Could you please explain why reserve parking was created for E3 and below and O3 and below at the commissary? What happened to rank hazards privileges?
Lieutenant colonels and senior master sergeants start walking. Yeah. So do you know the history?
So from what I understand, and correct me to 100%, which is something I stole from you, my predecessor, Chief Eishen, decided that, to be more inclusive, how about we look at some of these other demographics, and we don't need 30 colonel slots. We don't need 15 chief slots. We can change a couple of those and flip them to be something that, everybody can take advantage of. And so, sir, I'll let you.
So it was Chief Eishen's call on that. And when you look at the size of the parking lot, both at the BX but the commissary had an opportunity because we repaved it and repainted. And it wasn't just O3 and below, E3 and below. We also moved closer to the doors, expectant mothers and families with small kids.
Right.
Now, who needs the shorter walk? The general or the pregnant woman with 2 additional kids, right? Well, that's an obvious answer. and I will happily give up my space to that person, that single parent, 100 out of 100 times. And so it wasn't just that we did a little rank shuffle. It's that we actually put people closer that we think can use it more and better. We were expecting the community, candidly, folks, if you don't have a child, that you're carrying, that you're holding the hand of, and you're in your, first trimester, the expectant mother stuff is really for those that don't want to walk the extra 20, 30 feet because there's physiological concerns there. But if you are, and we're not going to police that. So just be a good neighbor, as you all are, and I think those will go great. Now, as far as walking a little bit more, I'm gonna be a little bit flip. It's 2 or 3 more spots, and when your metabolism starts declining a little bit, when you get E plenty or O plenty, walking a little bit more doesn't I don't think it hurts any of us. It is also a good way for, as Chief Eishen talked about, it's a good way for us to show that A1Cs, airmen, and I guess we wouldn't get an airman basic, but E1, 2, 3s, and captains and below, you guys and gals are a big part of this team and a big part of the service as well. There's a spot up at the club that I will repaint with something along those lines. That is a spot that no longer has a duty symbol associated with it. That'll be something along those lines also. So that's it. Good question. There's the thought behind it. I understand RHIP, but instead it also has other things associated with it as well. So that's that. All right. Can we plan a base-wide COVID-safe fall festival? Absolutely. Let me tell you. So I'm game with that, and if somebody wants to take the lead on that, work with FSS, and in a coordination of something they may already have in play, fantastic. I am fully committed, as I have been literally through the whole pandemic, for Halloween blowouts. And so if you have an opinion on whether we should celebrate Halloween on Monday night, the 31st of October, or Saturday night, the 29th of October, I would be very curious in your inputs. We'll get the decision out early on when we're going to do trick-or-treating here. But last year, as you recall, Halloween was on a Sunday, and we elected to do it Saturday night. Some parents said, "Why did you do that to me? Now my kid's got 2 days worth of candy." And I'm like, well, yeah, but at least we got to have the big one on base. So this would be a potential, open myself up to similar critiques. So that is an example of a festival that I think is fantastic. Automatic COVID mitigation is kind of built into that one, and that worked very well and have worked very well in previous Halloweens. And then a fall festival, I'm very good with that. So yes, I'd be very open to that. So Chief, I'll let you consume that one that's on the chart while we do another brag, another commendation for a mission partner here on base. I have said in many forums, Chief Swiss's predecessor and I were in a room with AAFES corporate leadership about a year ago, and my pitch to them was, why in the world are you not meeting, not beating, but why in the world are you not meeting Costco or Sam's Club gas prices? A lot of folks drive into town and they're choosing to buy their gas when they're in town as opposed to buying gas on base. You're missing out on people at the Express, and there's a lot of folks that would significantly benefit from that. Their response back was, well, it's going to hurt your dividend. And I say, okay, whatever. I mean, do I care about my dividend? A little bit. Do I care about the airmen that are paying more for gas? Absolutely. Right? And so that kind of went nowhere. But I will note, and kudos to John Anderson and his team, that they have slightly expanded the area within which they meet prices on. And right now there's a gas price war going on in Boron and Four Corners. And the AAFES pump on base is equal to the Loves and to the Flying J at Boron and Four Corners respectively. And it's 10 cents a gallon less than what you pay at Costco down in Lancaster. That is a huge deal. Yes, it's 10 cents a gallon, boss. I got that. But the fact that your AAFES folks are paying attention to us and they're looking at ways that we can actually help airmen have boots on the ground. Does it hurt the dividend a little bit? Maybe. I would argue it actually helps the dividend because they know or they learn that AAFES is taking care of us, and they're more likely to walk inside and buy an energy drink or something else or hit them up there. So I think there's a great story to be told there. John Anderson, thank you very much, and to your team for doing that. I guess when the gas war stops, then then prices will go back to what they were before. But until then, that's a good news, great news story that AAFES deserves a lot of commendation for. So good on everybody. And Swiss is going to pass that direct. So thanks, Swiss. Okay, Chief. You want to read it?
I
And
do.
then I'll take a swing at it.
Sure. Does it affect your position on masks with LA County choosing not to require indoor masking? It is interesting that the DOD would be more restrictive than the local area.
So in the interest of time, I'll say I've already answered the question. So if the person that asked me that question listened to what my preamble was, I've already answered the question. So I'll try and summarize. So does it affect my position that LA County chose to do that? Never, right? If you look at what we have done based on what LA County has chosen to do and what Kern County and San Bernardino County have chosen to do, we would never decide anything because those three counties never do the same thing. And we are actually broadcasting you right now from Kern County, and a lot of people live in LA County. LA County is really focused on Los Angeles, the city, San Fernando Valley, down into Orange County area. So that's an extremely dense urban environment with 10 to 15 million people. We much more resemble the less dense population in Kern County and San Bernardino. So I'm interested in what they're doing, but I go back to the why. This thing is on our faces at Edwards Air Force Base to protect the wearer from inhaling an infectious dose of BA5, period. I care about that person, I care about the people that person lives and works with, and I care about their contribution to our mission. And so at its core, this is a risk to mission mitigation in the elevated environment. It does not have anything to do with what the counties around us are choosing to do with their mask policies. And that is also why, if you look at the LA mask mandate, that LA County was considering a mask mandate. What is our mask mandate? Our mask mandate is a high quality mask mandate, which I think actually has some validity to it. If I have somebody put up a see-through piece of cloth over their face, that is actually doing nothing but giving them more acne, or MACNE, I guess is what it's called, around the mask, and showing a lot of ignorance, frankly, on what the actual science shows about this disease. So it was a little bit shorter than the preamble, but go ahead, Chief.
Sir, if you don't mind, I'd like to also throw in one other key thing to note here as people are wondering why we as DOD would be stricter than the local area. There are countless things in society that military members do not get to partake in. We have a higher standard. Our profession is way different. We have the profession of arms. We're talking wartime. We're talking all the things that factor into defending the national defense. This mask wear is preventing isolation, which then enables readiness, which then enables us to still be able to have town hall right here sitting next to each other and multiple other things, right? But at the end of the day, we cannot mirror the local area for anything when we're talking about readiness necessarily. I mean, there are some things that are going to overlap and be similar, that they may be exactly the same, but when we're talking about defending the country, we're not Staples. Yeah. We're not, jobs where, the standards aren't the level that we have to have in the military. So, of course, we're going to be stricter. That's the nature for most of what we do. Yeah. So I don't know.
I think it's a good discussion, and I hope that person approaches Chief or I, that asked that question, approaches Chief and I in the future. And hey, and because I love the discussion, I love the dialogue with you. Right now, if you are not a military member or a civilian with drug testing requirements for your job, and actually it applies to all federal employees, there are just some that get tested and some that don't. If you're a average, member of society in California, you can consume a recreational drug that is incompatible with military service. And so DOD has higher standards in that lane, and that there are others that would be also very applicable as well. So couldn't agree more. The reverse of that was very true. And I challenge all of you to go back and remember in early 2020 and mid 2020, when, no joke, everything off the base was locked down and we were still moving. Now, we were moving at a much slower pace, but we had a lot more liberty and a lot more liberal policy, counter-COVID policy here than what LA County did there as well. So that argument can go both ways. Now, you compare us to Kern County, and it would be a different comparison, but good discussion. All right, phone a friend from FSS, love it. FSS Fall Fest is scheduled for 28 October. Which is Friday, which would dovetail very nicely into something on Saturday. So get in your votes or your your recommendations on whether we do trick-or-treating the 29th or the 31st. But that's a good call. And if we want to do a larger outdoor COVID-friendly or COVID counter-COVID measure-friendly event, I am all in favor of that. The top question there, we're going to limit the amount of weather and safety leave one person can be given in a calendar year. Candidly, I don't have the answer off the top of my nugget. If that is a question that you would like us to get back to you specifically, please text in a name and contact information. We'll get that question to our civilian personnel officer or one of the human relations liaisons, and they'll get you an answer back on what the current policy is on that. There's a natural limit to that, but I'm not aware of any. I'm not aware of anything right now, and I'm certainly not the expert on that. But we can get that answer for you if you text in a name and a phone number. Happy to get that back to you. All right, I promised a half-hour Q&A, so time for one more. If you want to roll to the next one, if not, no more questions right now. So they're going to ring in after I'm gone, and Swiss can knock them all out of the park.
Well, I got one that came up, sir, that,
Sure.
that I would like for the masses to hear the answer to. The question came up here recently in multiple venues about, well, can I do two?
Sure.
About whether or not we still rely on the numbers of positive cases on the base to make decisions. And the second is about, how to, I guess, what to do between today and the 15th or whenever they can find the appropriate masks. And I just thought that those two things would be something that we would probably want to add to the mix.
Yes. So there are a couple talking points on both of those. Our public health is still tracking what gets reported to our public health in the form of positive cases. Our public health officers have done a phenomenal job. And hats off to Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Michelle Highlander-Westy and her counterpart, Captain Aaron Dr. Mears Lankard. I mean, the FIO and the FO have done phenomenal jobs with their teams, keeping us informed and making logical, reasonable moves throughout this. Now, their data and their recommendations are only as good as what gets reported to them. And so right now with at-home testing, a lot of people are popping there with antigen testing and not reporting. We ask that you report. It's to your benefit, literally, to report to them so that if you're an active duty member, it can get recorded in your medical records. If you're a dependent, we can give you the proper care and proper treatment. And then it also helps us inform on how things are going on base. The challenge with using the number of positive cases on base the entire pandemic is that the denominator is so small that just 2 or 3 positive cases from a case rate perspective make our numbers move dramatically up or down depending on what those are. And so, yes, we are still informed by it, but it's not a driver necessarily for what we're going to do, especially since vaccines are available, high-quality masks are available. They have a pretty good understanding of how Omicron is being spread, and we have other mitigations as well. Now to the mask question. Chief and I talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago, when I said masks are likely to be a requirement. And by masks, I mean not the old ones. Those are so 2020. These KN95s, N95s if you can get them, and at a no lower than surgical mask. If you, my very strong opinion, if you don't have a surgical mask, go buy a box. It would be the same as having Kleenex and toilet paper and paper towels. Just go buy a box. They're relatively inexpensive. Chief, you told me you did a shelf check?
I did. I was at the BX this morning, sir. I counted 59 packs of 20 at $4.49 a piece. I don't know if that's still the stock, but that was what was there this morning.
Yeah, shelf check this morning. Now, that's not KN95s. That's surgical masks. But at least that prevents you from spreading if you're contagious, which is our minimum requirement now, the surgical masks. KN95s as the person inhaling is the protection that you get there. We are going to issue, out of 412 Test Wing funds, we are going to issue KN95s to 412 Test Wing members when we have the supplies, and it'll be issued through UCC channels. However, if you need it and you don't have one, Amazon works. In fact, the ones on my face were purchased through Amazon.
I've been buying these since January through Amazon.
Yeah, and I know they're not free. I know that. But this is normal protective things that you would wear, like sunscreen, like a helmet, like a seatbelt, and all the other personal protective equipment and gear that you would wear. And it's just a new thing that we live in this post-pandemic world. And so I'm doing what I can, but you need it and you should be wearing it on and off duty, on and off base when you're in an environment that is at additional risk. I heard a quote from an infectious diseases expert 2 days ago. Statistically, in the United States, every single commercial airplane flying for the entirety of calendar year 2022 has had at least one person with COVID on it that is contagious. And you don't know if that person is 50 rows behind you or 20 rows behind you or the person sitting right next to you. Mm-hmm. And so when you're trapped in an environment like that with a whole bunch of other humans, a KN95 mask, an N95 mask to protect you from inhalation risk is a really, really good thing to do. And if you say, whatever, I'll get COVID, I'm fine, it's low threat. Well, I mean, do you really have the schedule to get sick? Do you have the schedule to be away? What do you do to your family? But also, it actually measurably, but small, increases your risk of cardio problems in the future. Maybe you'll be the one that gets long COVID out of it. I doubt you'll be hospitalized, and the chances of you dying are very low if you're vaccinated. But there's still risks there that if you don't have to absorb them personally, why would you? So and that's my pitch for doing them on and off duty.
It's not just about you.
Valid, right? Very valid.
That's why we serve. It's not just about us. It's about protecting everybody else.
Yep. Two good questions slash injects there, Chief. We started this format because of the pandemic. We're going to keep it because it works and effective, and it works primarily, and it's most effective as you watch, even if you watch after the fact in the recording, and get feedback to us on what could we have said or done better, what information did we miss, and especially as you interact and engage with us. So with that in mind, I'm going to let Chief introduce these awesome warriors that we have sitting in the studio with us from our amazing Comptroller squadron. I'm going to sneak out, and you'll see a dude that has a similar haircut, but is much better looking than me when we flash back here on screen. So everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you around the Center of the Aerospace Testing Universe between now and the next broadcast, which will be next Friday at 1300. All right, Chief, over to you.
Thank you. So, sir, let's can we get public affairs to pan over to our awesome Warriors of the Week? These individuals are part of a team, the 412 Comptroller Squadron, that represents Team Edwards, and they have been recognized as AFMC FM Comptroller Squadron of the quarter for the first and second quarters of 2022. And so we have with us A1Cs Scott and A1C Roberts. And so if you don't mind, gentlemen, please just tell us a little bit about yourselves and where you're from, and then just talk a little bit about what your role is in the Comptroller Squadron.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and begin. I'm Airman Scott. I'm from Rochester, Illinois. I've been at Edwards for almost on station for 2 years now. So I've seen a lot of changes, definitely with us having to adapt to all these new things being pushed out. So
they're awesome.
I'll go ahead and let Hammond Roberts introduce himself.
I'm A1C Roberts. I'm from Arizona, and I help with separations and retirements in my section, and that's mainly what I do. And I also look at LeaveWeb to try and see if members are taking the right leave for their separations. So,
absolutely
awesome. Well, thank you for that. Tell us a little bit what you two like to do. What are your hobbies? Like, what is your favorite thing about your job or about the Air Force? Like, let's get to know you a little bit. Don't be shy.
Oh, absolutely. So I am into traveling. I really like traveling around the West Coast. This is my first time on the West Coast, being out here at Edwards. So everyone says Edwards is smack dab in the middle of everything, and that's true. I've been to almost every national park in California. Awesome. I've also been to Seattle and everything else. So I've been to Yellowstone and Glacier National Park out here. So this place is great. Hammond Roberts.
So I like to play video games. I ride ATVs as well. That's what I'm about to go do this weekend. And I also tag along with him to Seattle. I went with him. I also went to Yosemite and some other stuff. It's pretty cool. And that's my main things I do. And I also work on my car sometimes whenever I have the free time.
Okay. So from what I understand, you two are from the military pay section, and that's a pretty small team, if I'm not mistaken. Can you just kind of give us a little bit of how your day-to-day looks and what that entails?
Absolutely. So being MilPay, a team of 3, so our primary duties are customer service, right? Even though we have alternate things that need to get done at COB, we still got to be servicing customers. That could be manning the phones, working inquiries on the Comptroller service portal, even like manning the counter. So it's really just servicing customers, making sure that they're not in the dark about what's going on their pay. I know it's confusing sometimes looking at LESs and even trying to figure out, hey, why is this happening to my pay when I just got on station? And there's a lot of pay affecting things, changes that take effect when you get on station, and even anything that you could do like TDY or deploy.
That's a really good point. I must say that even as a chief, when I got here to Edwards, I had some questions about how my pay was being rolled out, and your team was quick on the money and made sure that I understood what those line items represented. And so, everybody, doesn't matter. It's not ranks. It's rank agnostic as to the different things that could go on with pay. And I know that you all have a heavy task in front of you, so we appreciate what you do. Robert, did you have anything to add to that, or what were you going to say?
I mainly do the same thing he does. Except I'm more of like into separations, so I have to make sure that we have a list of outstanding payments, and we have to make them within 10 days after their separation. And sometimes members, they're separating from different detachments from this base. So say someone's separating from March or Los Angeles, sometimes they don't reach out to us, and they'll pop up on that report, and I'm the guy that resolves that issue and goes in and tries to open a CMS case to close them out, and then also I pay out through dispersing their final pay.
Awesome. Is there anything that you would like the audience to know about finance, your day-to-day operations, how they can get assistance? Can you just kind of give us a little bit of information for anybody that may be viewing who has questions about how to get anything resolved, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. So the Comptroller Services Portal is the best way of reaching out to us. I know with the whole telework changes and everything, it's confusing for customers. It's confusing for me too. So our operations are changing from a week-to-week basis, and customer service hours are changing too. So definitely use CSP if it's more timely. We do have an org box, and you can email us directly via that. Call us. I am manning the phones. I try everything to not telework. I'm trying to be in the office for you guys, especially because I know there are like urgent matters where members could be put in financial hardship. So I'm really there for you guys.
Awesome. So as you can see, I have Chief Swistak from the Mission Support Group joining me here. And Chief, before we get into how your day and week's been, did you have any questions for our awesome Comptroller folks?
I just want to say thank you for what you do, right? It's probably many times, sorry, I got to bend down to see you. Sometimes it's a thankless job, right? Nobody comes to you to say, thank you, you got my pay right this month, but they come to you to say, hey, something's wrong. So thank you for what you do. It's important. It's obviously it has emotional ties, people's money, things like that. So that's probably why you get the responses you do when stuff's not quite right. And good on you for getting out there and seeing what's around, right? You talk to a lot of folks around there.
He's
like,
been doing
hey,
it right.
There's nothing to do around here. Oh, there's lots to do. And you just heard a perfect example of all the cool stuff we have around us to go and do. So
I think you've been to every place he mentioned, you and your family.
Almost. Yeah, we get out as much as we can.
Yes.
It's fun.
Awesome. Well, if you don't have anything else, we will go ahead and clear you all off the broadcast for now. We appreciate you coming out, and we can bring in your counterparts and kind of plug or get their thoughts on everything.
Heck yeah.
So Swiss, why don't you go into what's going on with you, and then what's going on with the group, just whatever you want to.
Yeah, so I just found out here just a little bit ago, the KN95 mast that the base bought, LRS, one of the MSG formations, they came in today. right? But don't run to LRS. Go to your unit UCC, and they're going to make the call out to go pick up those masks and distribute them to you. So they're on base, Dee.
Okay.
It's good news.
That is good news.
Last week, or actually it was this week, just Tuesday. So I took a couple days of leave, just coming off of a couple days of leave. So it feels like it was last week. It was actually Tuesday. My boss and I, Colonel Blecker, were able to go over to AFES, where they presented us with one of those big, funny lottery checks.
Oh, I saw the check picture. That was amazing.
About $304,000 back to our MWR fund. So that was huge for the base. It was just really awesome. Another thing that's coming up, and this should be coming out through probably a PA survey of sorts, AFES is looking into the possibility and feasibility of putting EV chargers in, probably starting at the exchange parking lot. But what we need you to do is when PA gets that out, that survey is kind of, would you use them? Do you need them? So we can make sure we can get that data back to AFES and become one of 2 locations that it would be a pilot project for AFES. So
that's a big move, especially in
is.
California.
Absolutely.
As many EVs as are rolling around here, and even on base.
And plug-in hybrids. I mean, there's so much stuff out there.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there should be a palpable need for it, but we have to make sure we understand that palpable need so we can fight for it.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we have our third Warrior of the Week joining us now. Do we have Who do we have? We don't have Hammond, do we? Who do we have joining us? Could you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
My name is Jamal Hammond.
Oh, you are Hammond then?
Yes.
Cool. I was just making sure. Okay. Nice of you to join us here on the broadcast. If you don't mind, if you could give us a little bit about who you are and what you like to do and how your time is going here at Team Edwards.
As I mentioned before, my name is Jamal Hammond. I also work in CBTS with Airman Scott and Airman Roberts. My primary role in CBTS, I am the budget analyst for CE's budget, and I deal with the day-to-day operations as far as certifying documents, budget approving, and loading funds into the system. And I've pretty much been at Edwards the last 15 years. I grew up here.
Wow, okay.
So I graduated from Desert High School in 2014 as a valedictorian, and somehow I made it back to Edwards.
Wow.
That's a little bit about
Okay,
myself.
so you're right back home. Well, that's amazing, and we appreciate what you do in that role. We already congratulated your teammates on the phenomenal effort, having won the AFMC FM Comptroller Squadron of the Quarter 2 quarters in a row. And, that's a big deal. So I just wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to bring you all on to our Warriors of the Week. I've been hearing good things about you for quite some time, and I'm glad that we finally got a chance to recognize you in front of our audience. So is there anything else you would like to share with us today? Is there anything you would like to piggyback on that Scott and Roberts were talking through as we talked through, the customer service and that sort of thing?
It's very rewarding helping with the mission because like both of my parents are retired master sergeants, and they always pushed me to join the military, but I took the civilian route, and I feel like I'm still contributing to helping the military in some form or fashion. So that is very rewarding, and I'm grateful for that opportunity.
You absolutely are contributing, and that's the thing about the big A that we talk about, airmen. That includes civilians, contractors, and military, both enlisted and officers. So we appreciate you. It takes more than just us wearing this for this thing to be successful. So we know that we are not going to be able to do it alone, and we appreciate our teammates. And yeah, Swiss, what do you got for them?
Yeah, so you're about to get busy this time of year, right? End of year's coming up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Get all the money allocated and distributed, so it's good. It's good on you. And I think it says up here something about your mom's in the booth. No, or is that a mistake? Oh, your mom's back in the booth. She
Whoa.
said. Yes, so hi to your mom back there. Say hi to your mom.
Hi.
It's cool how small of an Air Force we have.
That's right.
When your mom can be in the booth where you're broadcasting from, how cool is that, right? Man.
Awesome. It looks like we also have a phone a friend in regards to the basketball court at May Road. May Road is working with a vendor on the repairs to that court. And once the repair date is locked in and it's ready to open, they will put the word out so that we can distribute that to the folks on the installation. So thank you for that phone a friend.
Yeah, it's been broken for a while. It's just digging a little bit deeper.
Oh, well, yeah, I've
I
been
think
over to see it.
I think it was vandalized. I
Okay.
think that's what they said. They believe it was. And I asked about it a week or two ago. I didn't want to yell from over there because it would have been weird. But I think that the piece of the roofing that got broke is somebody had the special order or something,
Okay.
and that's why it's been down so long. But good on whoever it is asked the question. A lot of times, just calling over to May Road to get the real answer is the best. Which kind of brings in something I was gonna. I don't know if I
Please.
ride check this with you. So I don't really monitor per se. I have a spouse who kind of looks at the Edwards Friends and all those different Facebook groups. There's a ton of them out there.
Oh, there are.
And it seems like rumors will just roll around and turn into something they're not. I don't know if you saw through official channels, they had to close the pool for a little bit over there in May Road. And it said a biohazard incident. So that turned into somebody did something bad in the pool, a dead rat somewhere they found. I mean, it turned into 5 or 6 different things. And those rumors just, they swell and they grow into something they shouldn't be without somebody just making the call and saying, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And if they can tell you, they will. So there's just no need to perpetuate that.
I think I mentioned it a couple of town halls ago, or I don't remember what forum I was in, but I asked everyone to make sure that you're utilizing official channels when you're trying to get
Absolutely.
information in regards to what's going on with Edwards. We're not going to push our update to Edwards Friends from General Higer. We have an app for that. We have distros for that. We have other official channels that we're going to utilize to get you the no kidding information. So please make sure that you're checking your sources when you're hearing things about what's going on, and that's I guess just to make sure that you're getting the ground truth.
Absolutely. I mean, it just makes sense, right? Instead of perpetuate something that's wrong. One thing I wanted to plug real quick if I can.
Please.
Tonight is Fun in the Sun out at Club Muroc. They're doing a grill your own dinner deal. It costs a little bit of money, a little bit less if you're a club member, a little bit more if you're not. Still nominal, I think. $15 for adults, $10 for kids 6 to 12. And if you have little kiddos 5 and under, they're free. So come on out. It should be a good time. Kind of unwind a little bit. We're also doing it in conjunction with Hearts Apart. So there'll be a handful of families of the deployed members out there hanging out too. So you come out and see them. Maybe make some friends.
Sure.
Cool.
Good stuff. What else you got for us?
I'm looking. I think I have some more.
I'm sure you got all the goodies. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and plug our Back to School Brigade. So the first sergeants, like last year, and probably previous years as well, they're doing a Back to School Brigade. We'll make sure that we get that flyer posted on next week's town hall as we get closer. But the Back to School Brigade, the backpack drive, if you will be August 10th at the Military and Family Readiness Center, formerly Airmen and Family Readiness Center, from 8:30 to 2 p.m. So make sure that you register at myoperationhomefront.org if you want to partake in that. If you haven't participated in that before, you will have to create a profile. So please get out there. If you want to be part of the Backpack Brigade, Back to School Brigade, go out and register for your child to receive those goodies. It's always a good event and a very good turnout.
Definitely.
So something that we definitely look forward to every year as school rolls around.
School starts soon, right?
That's
I
right.
think not next week, the week after.
Right.
So with that, you're going to see folks doing drop-offs, kids walking to school through the neighborhoods. Be smart, slow down. Fitzgerald's not a raceway. I see people going way too fast on Fitzgerald almost every day. There's going to be little kiddos running around. So, you wouldn't want your kid to be in that situation. So why put somebody else's? Just slow down and be cool.
Oh, that's right. So next week, we're even going to have the Security Forces Squadron folks come on to discuss the safe driving and pump the brakes campaign.
That's right.
So we'll be able to get more details out on that. But bottom line, especially, slow down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks that It's just it's hard to
I see it every day,
witness
Chief. I
them
see it
fly
every
by
day.
you, but as long as my cruise control is on.
That's right, 25. It's, getting home 10 seconds earlier, if that, for that short amount of time, it's not worth
It's
the
not worth
badness
the
that
risk.
could happen.
That's right.
Absolutely. So well, I heard you say one thing, military. It's not
Family-
ANFRC anymore.
Correct.
It's military.
And family readiness.
Yeah,
Center.
that's right.
The name changed.
It's interesting. I just saw an email on that. You think that now we have guardians.
That's right.
Right? So they're not airmen, they're guardians.
That's correct.
So to be more inclusive to our new force that stood up. And I think we also, we let our Navy, teammates use
whomever, whatever service.
Exactly. So it's more inclusive and more open to more military folks. So I think that's a good name change. It's a little weird. It'll be weird at first. Everybody's going to still say ANFRC, but now it's
MFRC.
MFRC. Yeah,
That's not so bad.
take out an A, put an M, and you were good. Yeah.
We'll get it together.
So back to school. Back to school.
Sure.
Next week, August 6th, the Youth Center gym from 11 to 4 is going to be FSS's back to school bash, right? Free lunch, bounce houses, face paint, obstacle course, and more importantly, registration for the child and youth programs out there. And we're going to call it, through FSS, Back to School Bash week-long celebration. So starting August 1st through the 6th, August 1st, 06:30 to 7. 7:30 is going to be a 5K at the Roseburg. I don't know how to say that word.
Rosberg?
Rosberg Fitness Center.
It may be Roseburg.
Back to school brownies at Club Muroc, August 2nd. It's 2nd through 5th. It doesn't have a time. Back to school bowling, August 1st through 6th at Desert Lanes, and the summer reading program finale, August 5th at 10 a.m. at the Base Library. So lots of stuff going on. Arts and crafts, Painter Rock Day, August 2nd, Kids Craft Camp, August 3rd. I mean, they're packing it full.
Sure.
Kind of get that last little bit of summer fun in there before we go back to school. So.
I'm sure all of that will be in the Sabre too.
It will be, or on the app.
Or on the app.
On the app, that's right.
So lots of goodness coming our way. If you
is.
need more details, there'll be flyers around. You can check the Sabre, you can check the app and the websites.
That's right.
And probably some of those Edwards Facebook pages as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Even
I'm
though, that's last resort for me, but if that's where you
Correct.
start, hopefully it'll be posted out there as well.
Most definitely, Edwards FSS will have that on their Facebook
That's true.
page. So
They have their
I
own
think that's
page.
where I grabbed this from.
Okay, great. So
Shamelessly.
FSS, that's a good page for me.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have a question. Where can I donate school supplies for Back to School Brigade? That is a good question that I will have to phone a friend about.
Yeah,
I
do
will
not
get
know.
the first sergeants to take that one, and then we will definitely populate an answer. We'll get that information back to you all as soon as they chime in. If not now, if not during this broadcast, we'll do it we will push that out as soon as we get it.
Right. Anything else
Any other
out there?
questions in question land?
I think I saw one pop across here. I don't know if they got it in the booth.
You can check it if you see it.
Somebody asked about if there's going to be a family air show for members of the base,
A
right?
family one?
So, we have the air show coming up the 14th through the 16th. I think normally we'll have like a practice. I think technically it's a practice air show.
Oh, there's a
before
day
the air
before.
show.
Yes,
Yeah.
one day is designated for families
Exactly.
before the other two, before the base, or
I believe
excuse me,
it's that
off base.
Friday,
Yes.
right? We're not letting people from off base come on, so that's your chance to enjoy the air show because a lot of us are going to be out there working.
Yep, 14 October.
That's right. Yeah, that's our day for the air show, because we need your help too for the air show. I don't know if you wanted to put that in there. We need volunteers to come out and do stuff.
And that will also run in conjunction with the STEM event that same
cool.
day. So
Excellent.
definitely a good plug and a good question that came through. That is definitely going to be set to the side, if you will, from when we have the rest of the local area come on base.
We can just enjoy the air show without all the crowds. That'll be fun.
Yep. And then if you need more information regarding that air show, you can go to avairshow.com. All the details will be there with the list of all the different things that are going to be going on. And as you mentioned, if you want to volunteer, I'm pretty sure there's a spot on that website where you can go
There is.
to raise your hand and say, I would like to help with this or that.
I think
So,
it's Sign Up Genius. I
Sign
think
Up
that's what they're
Genius.
using. Yeah, you can put your name in there. It'd be a cool way to watch. I've worked many air shows in my 20-some year career, and sometimes you get to see the air show from a different. I get you're working, but you're kind of out there all day, so you get to see different aspects of the air show.
it's always a good time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Well, we're coming up on the end of the broadcast. We'll stick around. If you have any last-minute questions, please text them in, 707-412-8922. In the meantime, Swiss, you got any big plans for the weekend?
No, actually, yes, I do.
Uh-huh.
And you're gonna love
I knew
this. You're gonna love this. So,
Are you going to see the Cowboys?
I'm going to see the Cowboys practice in Irvine. Yes. So I'm not 100% a Cowboys fan. I'm married to one, so yes, I am a Cowboys fan.
I know you are.
So we can be cool like that, right? Actually, Denver Broncos fan first and foremost. But I can't hate.
Make sure that's in view.
I can't hate Dallas, even though I think they beat us in the Super Bowl.
Well,
But anyway,
we'll get there.
Yeah, going to see the practice tomorrow. Tomorrow
love
morning.
that.
Yeah,
Man.
it's gonna be cool. And go check out Irvine. I've been
I
there.
need to hit you up after this because I might be close enough where we make a swing by there.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, it'd be cool.
How far is that from LAX?
Probably an hour.
Oh yeah, never mind.
An hour northwest.
We'll have to
going up
look
that
at it.
way. Yeah, check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll save you a seat.
Well, so
Or
yeah,
2 or 3.
yeah, you should. I'll let you know. But we don't have any plans other than making sure the kids fly out safe and just preparing for my own classes as everybody ramps up for back to school. I got these last couple of classes that I got to get off my plate too. So it'll be a good time to just kind of I do like spring cleaning every season. So
Yeah.
it'll be my summer cleaning. Just doing stuff around the house, but my cup is full this week. I had the pleasure of having the all calls that
That's
you
right.
you didn't
yeah.
get a chance to.
I missed it. I'm sorry. I
That's
was on
okay.
yeah.
Not everybody was able to make it, but we had a really good turnout. We had the airmen E1 through E4 in the first session, and then we had E5 and above in the afternoon session. And officers, civilians were able to come and participate in each respective session. And it was just a really good dialogue. We talked about everything from accelerate, change, or lose action orders down to the new WOPS testing. I mean, it was just a good chance for us to all just, get things out, talk through some things. And yeah, I thought it went really well. So my goal is to, if COVID allows, and I was excited about the 250 because that means that we can do these more frequently and hopefully on a quarterly basis if I'm lucky. So
exactly. Yeah,
it's been
good.
great. And then you got all the changes of command and the retirements.
That's right. Everybody's new right now.
It's just been, 'tis the season, right?
It is. We actually, speaking of change of command, I have a new MSG boss, Colonel Blecker. Colonel Harris is now, and if anybody's worried, he made it to Sukar
made it safely?
Yeah, he did. But
Good
we
deal.
got to sit down with OG today and kind of do a little in-depth in how they operate and everything. It was eye-opening for myself.
Yeah.
Even being here for almost a year, I just never understood OG in that way.
That's awesome. So I saw another collaboration today. Comptroller and FSS got together.
That's
and
right,
they had an
yeah.
around the world potluck. So I love to see the different organizations kind of coming together and cross-talking that knowledge from one AFSC or one group of AFSCs
Absolutely.
to another. I think all of our airmen need that, and I think that's part of why the all calls were so good is because airmen appreciated the perspectives from different backgrounds and the different experiences. And it also creates an opportunity to network and get to know something new and different and kind of get people out of their comfort zones.
That's
So,
right. There's so much power in that,
Yeah.
right? Knowing who to go to get the answer to a question, or if you have an issue to break the barriers to get through that issue.
Yeah.
And that's what working is all about, and that's the power of it.
Yeah.
We need to do more of that, right?
I agree.
So we'll have to find ways to make that happen, like your all call. That was awesome.
Right. And so, mask wear is absolutely not ideal, but it's just one of those things that we have to do in order to prevent us from having to be isolated totally and allow us to continue with readiness, continue with mission, and to be able to do this because in the early parts of COVID, everybody was at home and you didn't have an opportunity to connect this way. The most you were able to do was something virtually. So I'm not I'm not a fan of the mask need that the boss brought up, but I do this because it's what we have to do in order to continue to serve. And so I'm willing to sacrifice
If I
whatever.
could trade it for being face to face with folks, yourself, I would happily wear this so I could sit here and talk
Absolutely.
to you. Right.
Any
Other
day.
than doing it from a virtual, everything virtual.
Any day.
So it's
So yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to leave everybody with, we understand that this is not our favorite thing to do, but it is at least allowing us to do our other favorite things,
That's
right?
right.
And so just, while you're going through and making sure that you're doing your part, just keep those connections going and taking care of each other is important. Keeping that connection, taking care of each other, and just being there, so that we are all strong because we're united and not divided by some of the things that can sometimes get in the way.
Absolutely.
So, any parting shots?
I don't think I could have said that better,
Oh,
Chief.
well,
That was awesome. It's everything we do is by, for, and because of people.
Yeah.
We got to keep people first.
All right, love you, brother.
All
Thank
right,
you
love
for joining
too.
me.
See you soon.
All right, we're out from Takata 2. See you next time.
Have a good weekend, everybody.